All right, we are live and we're going to go ahead and discuss the 2024 rookie draft. We're going to give everybody a draft grade and then we're just going to talk about the players the guys drafted, how it fits their team as a whole, and then um, we're going to um, just discuss what that kind of means for the team going forward. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the Tennessee Colonels. Um, had a lot of draft picks this year, and I think it's actually going to be easier to see it if we just go by if we look at the team activity. So drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., Brian Thomas Jr., Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Keon Coleman, Roman Wilson, and Audric Estime. I'm assuming that's how you're going to pronounce that. Um, I have down here. I mean, obviously, him not taking MHJ would have been a drastic mistake. I feel like, even though it took him, I feel like an hour and a half to pick MHJ.
Yeah, he only had, 3 months to make a decision, and it still took him an hour and a half.
Yeah, I've got for as many draft picks as he had, I felt like this rookie draft for Chase left a lot to be desired. I think MHJ is, I mean, obviously going to contribute this year. I feel like Keon Coleman will contribute this year. Trey Benson has a chance to, um, if for some reason James Conner goes down. Um, Jonathan Brooks, I'm not too high on. Brian Thomas Jr. There's a lot. That's a crowded skill room um, for the Jaguars. And so I personally gave Chase a B rating for his draft. Um, and MHJ is carrying a lot of that. I do feel like he got some value with Keon Coleman a lot further down the board. Um, Rex, what do you think?
I liked his draft overall. I though the two picks, one I disliked. I did not like Brian Thomas going where he did. I think he even went before Xavier Worthy, Brock Bowers. I think that was kind of high on Brian Thomas. I mean, I don't see him being the number one there, or maybe even another year because they paid Christian Kirk to be the number one. I mean, he's getting paid wide receiver one money. Um, and it is, like you said, a crowded room there in Jacksonville. One pick, I know you said you weren't super high on Jonathan Brooks, but I do think if he comes back off that ACL injury healthy, I mean, he's the best running back in this class. Um, and what what it seemed like Chase did was he fit his needs. He went and got two running backs. He doesn't have any running backs on his roster that are really that great. So, I don't hate the draft. I think he let some value slip in some spots. Is basically how I feel about
Oh, that's fair.
it.
Um, all right, let's go ahead and move on to. I guess we'll just go ahead and do mine since I'm already right here. Um, we didn't have a pick until the fourth round. We moved up because I was afraid that Luke McCaffrey would slip or get away from us. So I wanted to move up and grab him as soon as I could. I think we got him at the 402. And then drafted Jalen McMillan, who will be the number 3 in Tampa Bay. And then Malik Washington, who has a chance to play the slot in Miami this year, set a bunch of records at Virginia. Was absolutely electric there. I think that's a little bit more long play for me. I really liked him. Could have been a little bit of a reach, but with him having having him on my practice squad doesn't really hurt a whole lot. Since we only had uh, fourth round picks, I didn't feel like I couldn't give myself anything higher than a C plus. But I like the guy. I had a mission to get Luke McCaffrey. Had some trade talks to get it done, and we got it done. And so honestly, having Jalen McMillan fall to us, I was happy about that. But I really just wanted to leave with Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think McMillan could slot in as a wide receiver 3 there in Tampa. Be interesting to see if they move Godwin back to the slot role and then put McMillan on the outside, which could be a pretty deadly combo with Mike Evans, McMillan, and Godwin. But there is a lot of mouths to feed there. So, will he, with Evans, what did he sign? A 2-year contract towards the end of his career. I think Godwin's on the last year of his deal. So the potential is there maybe down the road. McCaffrey, I do like. You mentioned that you tried to move up to get him. I think we're going to see another McCaffrey that's going to be pretty dominant in the NFL. He slipped. I mean, he slipped pretty late in the draft, and I mean, you obviously had an eye on him. I figured he would actually go at like the beginning of the third round, but he just kind of kept sitting there, and I was like, well, I mean, if he was still on the board whenever I rolled back around, I was going to pick him. So, I think that was a good pick. You mentioned the Washington pick. I don't know exactly what to expect out of him. Definitely a dart throw. I don't know too much about him, other than he was a Virginia receiver that seems like he could play some in the slot. So,
yeah, and I think the biggest thing with the McCaffrey pick is that is one of the worst receiving rooms in the NFL. You have Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson as the number 2.
yeah.
If anything were to happen, like injury wise, in that receiving room, I mean, there's room for promotion all over the place. And it's not very crowded. So if he gets in and impresses, I feel like he could step in right away.
Yeah.
And again, it's a fourth round pick. How much he'll produce, I don't know, but I liked it as at value for the fourth round.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Now we got the looters. I think my favorite thing that he did was grab Penix in the third round. He took, who did he take first?
He took Bowers first.
He took Brock Bowers first. That's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah. Brock Bowers first. I think that's going to be a good move. He was absolutely incredible in college. I think it's going to translate well to the NFL. Did not love the Pearsall pick.
Yeah. Me too.
That's got to be the most crowded place for a wide receiver or any skill position guy to succeed with how crowded it is. But being able to turn around and get Penix, and then he got Javon Baker, which is another skill room that's not crowded at all, and he'll probably find his way to a starting role pretty early on in the year. I think those picks are pretty good. I gave him a B plus. Probably would have been a little bit higher if he would have went somewhere else outside of Pearsall. I mean, that's got to be a super long play, and I just don't know where it ends up working out for him there, at least in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. I think the Pearsall pick was a very far reach. I do like the Penix pick. Earlier when you and I were talking, I thought he took him in the second round. I didn't care for it there, but I think in the third round that's some pretty good value on Penix. Javon Baker, I think, is a dart throw as well. Could be really solid in New England. New offensive system, new quarterback. Might work out. I don't know. And then I don't really know what to expect out of Walker. I mean, once we get kind of in these late rounds, I mean, yeah, you might be able to find a running back that's a backup or something along those lines. But wide receivers, you're not going to find many guys that are producing in the first year. Maybe I mean, I felt like last year Puka Nacua was literally one of the only guys that was a late round pick that actually produced throughout the year.
Yeah, and so like I said, I gave him a B plus. I think he did well for the value that he got. I think really the Pearsall pick was the head scratcher there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Beecher Creatures. You took Xavier Worthy, then Drake May, Troy Franklin, Kamani Vidal, Johnny Wilson, and Jordan Travis. Xavier Worthy, we talked about this a little bit. I mean, I think it was pretty close to the best available. I mean, you maybe could call it a reach, but I think the only thing that's like a little nerve wracking with the Xavier Worthy pick is you just don't know. The Chiefs, we saw it this past year, have kind of transitioned to. I mean, they haven't been winning games the way that they were in year two of the like Mahomes
Mm-hmm.
stint. And so does it shift more to a little bit more of a dink and dunk, relying a little bit more on Pacheco and just Kelsey, obviously because you don't have Hill out wide. So I mean, this could be very good. Obviously, it's a good receiver, a very fast receiver in a very good system. Could easily, translate well. Drake May, I mean, I think that halfway through the season, you could see him starting. Just depends on what the Patriots want to do with Jacoby Brissett. I think that's kind of, I think it depends on where they're at halfway through the season. If they just want to give him some reps, I feel like Vidal was on everybody's board right around this where you took him, and he
Mm-hmm.
slipped a little bit too far. And I knew that you weren't going to let him fall any further. So I
Yeah.
thought that you could grab him there.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty happy with my draft, I guess. I mean, Worthy, I think is like I said, kind of an upside play, hoping that he is the next Tyreek Hill. Otherwise, he could be the next Kadarius Toney. I don't know, but I mean, I was pretty happy getting Drake May in the second round. I mean, he's a third quarterback or third best quarterback available, and in Superflex, I feel like all quarterbacks have some value, which is also why you see me take like Jordan Travis late. Could be the guy after Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? It was kind of I felt like I just tried to go for value. The only guy I will say I did like that probably is not a value pick was Troy Franklin. I just like his body. I like how he's built, and he went to Oregon with Bo Nix, so there could be a connection there. I don't know. It was kind of a dart throw, but I think he could develop into a decent receiver at some point.
Yeah, so I gave you a B. I feel like there's some that you just got to kind of wait and see, but then I think you also have some potential to see some, contribution right away.
Yeah.
But I don't think, anything really blew up for you.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about the Cali Pigs. They took JJ McCarthy at 26, Jatavion Sanders, and Malachi Corley. He got JJ McCarthy pretty late, 26.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that was really good value, especially for a team that, I mean, he's got a lot of spots to fill with $875. So,
I'm gonna say that the JJ McCarthy pick, what was it, third or fourth round, was the best pick in the draft.
yeah, I think that's
Value wise, the best pick in the draft. If we're super flex, there's no reason JJ McCarthy should have slipped beyond the second round, to be honest. I mean, some people even I mean, some people even had J.J. McCarthy above Drake May. I don't, but I think the system that J.J. McCarthy is in with the wide receivers around him, he's in a great spot. I mean, you could argue he's in a better spot than, I mean, well, not probably not Caleb Williams, maybe Caleb Williams even, just with the weapons he has around him. I mean, we've seen, in my opinion, Kirk Cousins is an average quarterback, and he's been pretty dang good the past couple of years in fantasy football because he's been in that Vikings system. It might be the best pick in the draft.
Yeah, and I mean, again, gonna produce right away, and now you've got a 3-year guy that, even if he's not your number one in year 3, um, he's gonna be really strong in a super flex. So, all right, let's move on to the Dallas Dragons. Dragon took Jaden Daniels. Then he took Xavier Legette, Jalen Polk, Ben Sinnott, Dylan Lobby, I don't know, and then Spencer Rattler. I gave the Pigs a C plus, by the way. I think that, I mean, for what he got, honestly, you should probably get a B minus for how late he got JJ McCarthy. Now that I'm thinking about it, I like the Jaden Daniels pick. Xavier Legette, I don't love the team that he's on. I don't know how well that's going to do for him. It's just a lot of really young guys here and not a great quarterback throwing the ball. Obviously, he might progress in year 2, but I don't know how well this is going to work out just because of the system that he's in. Jalen Polk, again, Patriots skill rooms are vacant at the moment, so anything could probably make an impact there, and you got a pretty good chance to have some production in year 1. I thought that Sinnott was, or Sano, however you say it, I thought that he was rated way too highly ADP wise, especially because he's going to be playing behind Zach Ertz. I mean, I guess if they run 2 tight end sets, I think you'll see some, but I think this is more of a long play than it is anything.
Yeah, I don't know. That Sinnott was the second best tight end in the draft. It's definitely a long play for sure, but Washington, is that Eric Bieniemy still there?
I believe so.
I mean, you think about the Chiefs. They always throw out 2 wide receiver sets with Kelsey, and sometimes he's going to have a role. I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but you know, he might be decent at some point. I don't think it's this year, but year 2, you could see him take a big leap.
Yeah, and I thought grabbing Spencer Rattler with his last pick, I think is what it was. I think that's a good stash play.
Yeah, I do too.
So doesn't hurt, and anything can happen with Derek. Derek Carr goes down. So all right, let's move on to Dylan. Dylan only had 3 picks. He took 2 University of Louisville football players. Isaac Guerendo is actually very, very good. This is not. I'm trying to remove all bias here. Guerendo and Thrash are very, very good. Neither of these guys will see production in their first year, which Dylan is not in the position to really need that. So I guess that's okay. I think Guerendo is going to be that's going to translate really, really well to the NFL. Jamari Thrash is severely underrated as a wide receiver, but that Cleveland receiving room is very crowded. So I think that I mean, that could be 2 or 3 years before Thrash really gets a chance. And then the Theo Johnson pick, I mean, he's got more chance to produce in year 1 or year 2 than the other 2 picks do. But if Christian McCaffrey goes down, which he has in years past, Garindo becomes, a little bit more viable. So I gave Dylan a C minus just because there were some guys on the board where when Garindo came up that could have a little bit more immediate production and didn't have, an MVP candidate playing in front of them. So I think that's my biggest point there.
Yeah, I'm not too high on any of his picks. I think they were all dart throws. If he has one of those guys that sees much of the field this year, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, like I said, I think Theo Johnson is his name. I think he has the best chance out of all of them. Yeah. I mean, now that Darren Waller retired, you got a shot. So,
right.
All right, the Hitman. This might be the best draft in the out of all of them. Took Malik Neighbors, Caleb Williams, Lad McConkey, Jalen Wright, Marshawn Lloyd, and Bucky Irving. Malik Neighbors going to produce. Caleb Williams going to produce. Lad McConkey going to produce. Jalen Wright, he's going to be in a committee, but that's a little bit of a longer play. And then Bucky Irving, if anything happens to Rachaad White, or if they go by committee, he'll also produce this year. I mean, this is a solid rookie draft.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's loaded. And he's got a little bit of money to play with, not a ton of spots to fill. I think the Hitmen they can make some noise this year. I'm starting to like the makeup of this team a lot, with a lot of depth. The Hitmen, I think, are going to be front runner to start the year. Let's move on to the Boobs. They had 2 picks, Jermaine Burton and Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think they're both going to see the field. Rex, you know a little bit more about these guys and a little bit more about these picks. So I'll let you go ahead and pick the Boobs.
I think Burton was actually a really nice pick by Sam. I don't know if Sam knew that, but he's definitely going to see the field this year. I believe Tyler Boyd walked, correct? He's elsewhere.
Yes.
So the Bengals love running 3 wide sets, and Burton is probably slotted in to be the slot, and that could be really nice for him. And then Tyrone Tracy, I believe, is the backup, or could be the backup in New York.
He's going against.
Can't hate on it.
Yeah, he's going against so I picked Eric Gray in the 5th round last year as a backup for Saquon. And it's pretty much going to be either Eric Gray or Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah. So that is, I think he was a 5th round. It was Tyrone Tracy 5th round.
I believe so.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's basically it's a chance. He's almost the last pick in the draft.
Yeah,
so
49.
It could be a decent play. I know a little bit about both those guys. Jermaine Burton was on my board. If he would have slipped a little farther, if I could have rolled around to him, I probably would have taken him. I don't think he's a high ceiling player, but he could fill the role of Tyler Boyd and give you some flex weeks down later in his career. But that's where, when you're in the 3rd and 4th rounds, I mean, that's kind of what you're looking for, guys that could potentially at some point play for you.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and go to the Shadow Troop. This is probably the second best draft. Let's see. He took Odunze, Mitchell, Blake Corum, Ray Davis, Bo Nix, Braylon Allen, Joe Milton, and then Will Ricard. Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of value with a lot of guys that are probably going to produce early. How does Odunze not have a picture yet? Yeah, I think the only thing with Odunze is that there's a few veterans in front of him. I think they're still going to have a role slotted out for him, and Davis is going to have a chance to be in for the Bills as well. How much they'll actually decide to run the ball this year is yet to be seen. But I think that he got a ton of value with Bo Nix specifically because he got him further down the board too.
Yep.
And Mitchell, who's also going to have a role pretty quickly, if I'm not mistaken, because who else is
Pittman. I mean, he's probably going to compete for the wide receiver 2 spot, and then I mean, Pittman's the number 1, but after that, I mean, Alec Pierce. I don't know who else is there. Actually, don't even know.
Yeah, and then he's got Joe Milton as well, quarterback, absolute cannon. Will they make him a tight end? Who knows? But needed to put him on his bench just so he could fill all his practice squad.
He can move, like as long as you don't put him in your starting lineup, you can move them back to the practice squad.
Okay.
I will tell everybody that on this stream. If you do have a rookie right now and you have too many spots, like you filled all your practice squad spots, make sure you don't put those guys in your starting lineup moving guys around. Make sure you keep them on your practice squad or on the bench because they can be moved back to the practice squad after they've been moved off or after they've been moved off the practice squad. You can't move them back and forth. So, not sure if that made any sense.
I think so. I was up to speed. All right. That wraps it up here for us. We'll be talking about when we want to do the free agency draft. That's going to have to be a day that just works for everybody. So, however,
I mean, we could do a long version of it. Do 12-hour per each guy.
That would be awful.
It'd be like slow bidding.
Yeah, that would be brutal. All right. Rex, unless you got anything else, we'll see you guys in the Discord, and we'll discuss when we're going to do the free agency draft.
Yep. Sounds good. We'll see you guys.
See ya.